But I started smoking weed about freshman year of high school, and I stopped really caring about excelling at the sport.
Just because it's not working the way that we want it to doesn't mean it's not working. So I relate to that, dude, because like so often in life, people stop before the miracle happens.
I think a lot of the times when we end up going about this journey alone, we go back into our old habits. I think it's really hard to tell the difference between an addict and a frat guy in college.
Was there ever a moment, Tanner, when you were like, I want to stop, but I can't stop?
I would say
welcome back to the Ryan Zofay Experience. Today is actually a very special day for me. The reason why I do this is I've been able to heal a ton of childhood traumas, a ton of addictive personalities and mental health issues. And the guest that I have today is really why I do it. And so I'd like to welcome Tanner Conroy. What's up, Tanner?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Bro, the moment I'm having right now is surreal. I envisioned this. I envisioned having an opportunity to really share space with somebody that has truly been impacted because of our company and because of the work that we do, and you are an example of that. So I'm honored, my friend. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I mean, I owe everything I have, honestly, to level up through my career, through the beautiful life I'm living now. It's everything I wanted when I was in my addiction, but I never knew how to get it, and I definitely, owe my life to level up and the people around me that helped me achieve where I am today.
Thank you so much. And just to unpack what Tanner's saying, Tanner currently works for us at the We Level Up program out in Spokane Valley, Washington. He came in as a patient, became an alumni, and he worked his way up to now working at our program. And so when that happens, it's special. And so thank you again, Tanner. And so why don't you bring me back to your childhood? Like what was your childhood like?
Yeah, so I always, whenever I start telling about my childhood, I always kind of preface that I didn't have a crazy traumatic childhood. I actually had a very normal family. We were really big into sports, and so that was pretty much the center of my life all throughout my childhood.
What sports did you play?
Growing up, it was baseball,
Okay.
and then later on,
What position did you play?
first base, pitcher, and third back in the
Okay.
day, man. Yeah,
You got an arm on you.
a little bit, man. Yeah, back in the day. Now I got to ice it after like 5 minutes of throwing.
Okay. And where did you grow up?
I grew up actually here in Spokane, so it's a beautiful thing that we had a facility over here and get to help people around here.
Heck yeah, dude. So you grew up family dynamic. Sports was very important for you.
Yep.
And who did you want to make proud, mom or dad?
I would say both of them, but mostly my dad when it came to sports. My dad grew up in a small town in Oregon, and he actually just got inducted into the Hall of Fame in his high school. So he was quite the athlete back in the day. So I always wanted to live up to that and wanted to always make him proud when it came to baseball. And I eventually took on football because I wanted to be my own path and not always have to compare myself to him. But yeah.
So at what point did you start to feel like you weren't measuring up for dad?
I would say honestly, probably junior year of high school. That's when, I was kind of not excelling as much as I was when I was growing up. That's when I was more into smoking weed than I was doing winter workouts. And it definitely showed during the springtime when, the pitches got faster, but I couldn't catch up to it, so.
And so
Yeah.
junior year of high school, you decide to start partying a little bit. You decide to start having a little fun. You weren't putting in enough effort and practice. And then what was the conversations like at home with dad?
He kept it positive. He kept it, it was a lot of constructive criticism. Anytime he went to a game or practice, he always tried to give me a few tips or some advice. He never talked, he never yelled at me, never talked down to me because of my performance. but he just was straight up like, you got to get better if you want to play, you got to get better.
So dad was there, dad supported you,
Mhm.
but what was going on for you that you didn't feel like he had your back, or you didn't feel like you could ever measure up to him?
It was something ever since I was a kid going to that small town in Oregon, and always seeing, his name on the record board, and stuff like that. He's always had my back. But at an early age, I started smoking weed because I think the pressure that was on my shoulders his name's Joe, but I'm Joe Conroy's son. I should be doing this, this, and this. But I started smoking weed about freshman year of high school, and I stopped really caring about excelling at the sport. And I think he noticed that shift in mentality. And so, in all honesty, I started going towards football because I was bigger than everybody. I didn't have to really try as hard, and I was still excelling at that sport.
And so it's so interesting that you're saying this, because it's, you know, obviously growing up, I feel like I had the same thing with my dad, right? I felt like I never measured up. And I feel like he always like set this bar so much higher than himself, because he wanted me to be better than him. He wanted
Hmm.
me to be the best. And what I think happens is parents don't realize is that puts so much unnecessary pressure on kids, and they don't know how to communicate that message when we don't meet that expectation.
For sure.
And I can relate so much, bro, because what I did is I started smoking weed and hanging out with the kids, and because it was easier, I didn't feel like I had the pressure.
Hmm. Well, no, exactly. And, and growing up, just hearing all the time, like, oh, you're better at me than I was when I was your age. And I think during high school, when I didn't feel like I was, as good as him, that's when I kind of had that fucking mentality, and I just kind of, stopped trying because I didn't have a fear of, I guess, a fear of success. It was more of like a fear of failure. And if
Sure.
I could not meet the expectations, I said, fuck, and I walked away. Instead of,
Sure.
digging my heels in and trying harder, I just said, screw it. And I left,
It's so interesting, bro, because there's a metaphor that I live by today. And I, wish we could have known this back then, right? It's like, just because it's not working the way that we want it to doesn't mean it's not working.
For sure.
And it's so I relate to that, dude, because like so often in life people stop before the miracle happens. So often in life people give up before the success happens. And as a young kid, you don't know any better. The pressure's on you. You want to make dad happy. Dad's a badass. He's an incredible athlete. That pressure's already on you. Everybody around you is like, this is who you need to be. They're shaping your identity. They're shaping your belief systems. They're like, this is how Connor needs to show up. This is how Connor needs to be. And you're just like, all right, fuck you guys. Like, this is too much. Like, I don't want to do this. I just want to be a kid. I just want to have fun. And then
Yeah.
you decide to start playing football because you didn't have all that pressure. And
Mm-hmm.
what was that transition like?
The transition to football, I mean, it was always mentally, when I was in high school, mentally, I always worked out for baseball. But then about junior year, because I made varsity my sophomore year, and then junior year is when I really excelled. So I'm like, I enjoy this sport a lot more. So I started, um, you know, striving towards success with football, and not having to be compared to anybody, and creating my own path. Like, I wasn't following anyone else's path. I was creating my own. And so I had zero comparison. And so I loved that part of it. Because it was stress free,
It's so true, bro. And, I teach psychology, and, as you know, we do seminars and we teach people the very thing that you're talking about. Because, in those formative years and even into our teenage years, the model of our world is established. Like, the expectations of what our parents want us to be are put on us, our belief systems. And then we start to make decisions from those belief systems. And if there's not a way to fully express ourselves, we then get to the place where, like, this is just too much pressure. And then we start to deviate off the path. And so here you are, you're being a badass in football, and it's easier. You're excelling, you're feeling good. What was really the turning point when you really started to get out of hand with addiction?
The turning point for me with addiction, I think it was, in all honesty, it was when I graduated college. So I went to college and I played football. I was blessed enough to be able to go to a local school here, Whitworth University, and I played football. The turning point, and I always say, you could probably identify my addiction in those college years, but you're young, you're dumb. I think it's really hard to tell the difference between an addict and a frat guy in college.
Sure.
So I would say where it really dug into me was when sports ended, when school ended. When I was out in the real world, because I grew up always wanting to make my parents proud, and I always wanted to make the people around me proud. And when I didn't have those objective things to make them proud, I was lost. So and when uh, I started feeling like they were more disappointed than me than proud, that's when the drinking started. So, it's a double-edged sword. They were disappointed because I was drinking. I was drinking because they were disappointed. And so um, it was that loss of identity after
I get it,
school.
bro.
And yeah.
It's so bro. You're hitting the nail on the head. I think it's so important what you're saying, because even your addiction was somewhat manageable because you had a purpose, you had a North Star, you had something to look forward to. And as soon as you stop pursuing some sort of activity or some sort of growth, you started to spiral. And that's where I say, if you're not growing, you're dying. And this is a perfect example, because you literally just said, once I was finished with school, I started to spiral and I lost my identity. I'm like, what am I going to do next? And so what happened from there?
Well, so what happened from there? So I got this job right after college. I worked, a physical labor job, and that only messed with my head a little bit more because I just spent 4 years going to school for psychology and was not using my degree whatsoever. So I'm working a job that a high schooler could get with a college degree, and I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So drinking really started. So I would, that's when it started very slowly. I would just drink after work. Um, and then I think come COVID, I was an essential worker, so I had to still work. I didn't work from home or anything, but that's when not many people were showing up to the lot, so I was getting drunk before work or during or after. Um, and then yeah, and then I decided to make a change there after about two years. And I worked and I got a job at a high school helping kids with, educational disabilities. So I thought at least I'm a step closer to using my degree, because all I've ever wanted to do is just use my degree and not feel like my 4 years was wasted.
Sure.
And that's it was not good. You can't give an addict a year's salary and only have to work 9 months, because during the summers, man, day and night I would be drinking.
Party time.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it, dude. And it's so interesting because you're talking about, not really meeting your full potential, and that really causing burden on you, because you're like, I know there's more in me. I know that I'm more capable. And here I am doing this job that really I'm way better than this job. This is way beneath me. And it starts to mess with your internal world. And so this is where I say, in order to master your life, you have to master your internal world. And see, so often in life, we think the successes, the trophies, the degrees, the money is going to make us happy. And really, it's the other way around. It's the internal stuff that has to happen, and then the external stuff gets better. And so that's exactly what happened for you, right? Like your addiction progressed. And when was it its worst? Like when was it its absolute worst? Like when did you hit rock bottom?
So there was two times it was at its absolute worst, and I was at that high school for 2 years. I went to so it was the summer times when I had nothing to do and I was still getting paid. I would drink, 24/7. In 2021, I went to a treatment center in Arizona. And I still had a job to go back to. I still, the relationships I did not later on, ruin were still in my life. But I would say rock bottom would be right before I came to Level Up. Like when I called Level Up, um,
What was going
I
on during that time? Like, what were you using? What were your
yeah.
habits? Yeah.
So I was drinking 24/7. You know, I finally worked up. I was a high school football coach, and I finally worked my way up to the varsity offensive line position, which I was stoked about. So all summer we're doing camps, we're doing practice, um, and so what happened right prior is I was drinking all summer, right, while doing these camps. Um, and 2 weeks or 2 days into the school year, I got fired from that job because of my drinking. But my drinking habits, man, I would, Idaho has cheaper alcohol over here compared to Washington. So I would always wake up in the morning. Let's say I'm going to work. I'd always stop at a gas station here in Washington because they had Fireball shots, right? And I didn't do the Four Locos. I didn't do that. Um, but I had a 50-minute drive. So I would, get some shots in me, get ready for the day because I could not function if I was not even, catching a little buzz.
Sure.
And then at lunchtime, there's a liquor store right around the block, and it opened at 11 o'clock, and lunch was like 11:30. So I'd always go and get something there at lunch, put it in a McDonald's cup, pour it in there, keep that buzz going until after school at like 2:33, and then I would get 2 fifths. And then I would drink one on the way home. Yeah, I mean, it's very rare if you had a alcoholic that didn't drink and drive, but I played with fate a lot. Not proud of it, definitely not. But I would drink one on the way home and then drink one at night.
Wow.
So it
Was
was.
there ever a moment, Connor or Tanner, when you were like, I want to stop, but I can't stop?
I would say, yeah, most of that summer, man. Most of that summer, I'm waking up miserable. I'm feeling bloated. I'm feeling like
You
shit.
wake up, you're like, yo, I'm done, but then you couldn't stop.
I couldn't stop because I mean I still had a job to do. I still had to go out and be social. I still had to go out and be productive. And there's no way in hell I'm being productive when I'm shaking a mile a minute. I'm feeling bloated. And for me, and when I was going through the withdrawals, like I had a hard time formulating sentences. So you saw me a lot of the times in the corner by myself, but I had to drink in the morning so I was able to perform my job,
So it got so
well.
bad that you literally had to start drinking just to maintain.
It wasn't even to get drunk anymore. It was literally just to, maintain and be normal.
I remember that so much, bro. I remember like I drank natural ice. I love natural ice. It was cheap and it was like watered down, so it wasn't like that bad. It kind of
Right.
tasted good. And I would slam them, and I remember just getting like blackout drunk. I didn't know any other way, dude. I would like start and I would just keep drinking until I blacked out. And then I would wake up feeling that hangover, like, oh my God, this is too much. I gotta stop. I'm done. And then I would be drinking again.
Right.
And that pattern just kept happening for me. And I think you mentioned something. You lost your job. Is
Yeah.
that when you were like, all right, I got to do something?
So I lost my job. Yeah. Lost my job. And then, because I always compare alcohol, and I tell this in my story a lot. It's like in life, you're like a kid playing with building blocks. And just when you think you're building your blocks high enough and you can reach happiness or you feel like you made it, alcohol comes and knocks that thing over like a kid playing. So that's how I felt when I lost this job and I lost this coaching position that I was really excited for. Um, because not only did I lose my job at the high school, I lost that coaching position. And so I got fired.
You feel like you let the kids down?
1,000%, man. And actually, what's funny is I remember when I was on the phone call and blessed that admission person's heart because I was bawling my eyes out. But my biggest thing is, man, I felt like I let those kids down.
Wow.
I felt like, because I created authentic relationships with them. And, I felt like, not only did I let myself down, but those kids, I just felt bad,
Sure.
So I bawled my eyes out coming to Level Up. I bawled my eyes out on that phone call, and I'll
So
gladly admit it.
what gave you the strength to like pick up the phone and actually make the call?
After about a week of consistently drinking, you get sick and you're not even drinking and like having fun anymore. You're drinking and just falling asleep and passing out. And so in all honesty, after a week of, I had interviews, but then I was too drunk to go to those interviews. I had interviews, too drunk to go to those interviews, or I'd pass out and totally miss the interview. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. And so I called, and I just had enough, man. I called and started crying, because not only did I feel like I let myself down, but my biggest fear, Ryan, something about me is that my worst fear is letting people down around me. Which, it's funny because that fear has, it's early in my early 20s, that fear came to life. But I let down the coaches, I let down the vice principal that I had a very good relationship with, and I let down my family. And in that moment, man, I'm like, I'm not making anyone happy. I'm not even, making myself happy. And so that's why I was breaking down, and yeah, some other stuff, feeling sense of worthlessness, hopelessness,
Yeah.
kind of feeling
Yeah.
numb. Like, I don't really care,
What Tanner's talking about is the gift of desperation. And so when you hit that rock bottom moment and you're like, all right, this sucks, like I got to do something about it. Thank God it wasn't bad enough where you lost your life. Like, thank God you were cognitive enough to pick up the phone and make that call. And so how long do you have sober now?
35 months. I'll be 3 years on the 14th of next month.
Let's go.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go, bro. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Is your sobriety date October 11th?
I left Level Up October 11th, but I
Okay.
came to Level Up September 14th.
Okay. Because the reason why I ask is my sobriety is October 9th. So I thought
Oh,
maybe
damn.
yeah.
Yeah. How long do you have?
Dude, this October I'll have 24 years.
Damn, dude, that's crazy, man.
I know, bro.
That's insane.
Age. I'm 40, bro, and I don't feel 40. So like my body, like my mind and like my spirits, like I'm 28, but then sometimes my body's kind of like a little,
Now,
But yeah, I'm getting up there in age, dude, and dude,
did
we're so honored, bro, to have you, and like I said
Thank you.
in the beginning of the show, bro, like this is what it's all about, man. Like I envisioned a day where I would be able to interview somebody that was struggling, came to our organization, and they are now thriving. 3 years of sobriety, that's absolutely insane. Psychology degree. So why don't you tell a little bit about what you're doing for us in Washington now?
Yeah, so I'm one of the alumni coordinators over here in Washington. I originally was doing that in Florida. But honestly, Ryan, I have the best job in the world. I just go and hang out with these clients and build authentic relationships with them. And it is so cool to kind of hear these people's story and kind of see myself in them. And I'm hoping they see themselves in me. But so most of my job is just to connect with them, and then after them they leave, just to be on their journey with them. Like I always say, just because you leave Level Up doesn't mean Level Up's going to leave you. We don't leave you just high and dry. Like I want to be with you throughout your whole journey. So if you need someone to talk to or any resources or anything like that, like I want to be hand in hand with you throughout your journey. You always got me.
I love
So
that, bro.
that's what I do over here in Washington. I'm just pretty much a peer support kind of guy,
I love that. But tell me, how important, Tanner, do you think it is for one's sobriety to have that level of support once they leave?
It's tremendous, tremendously important. I think having someone that you can celebrate the victories with, it's almost like a sponsor in a way. I'm like the sponsor before you get a sponsor. I'm here to celebrate your victories, your 30 days, your 60 days, 90,
Let's go.
and so on. But I'm also here to talk you through, if you just went through a funeral, or if you lost somebody, or little things like that. And I think a lot of the times when we end up going about this journey alone, I think that's when we're left to our own devices, man, we go back into our old habits. And so if we at least know we have one person, if we've ran off everyone around us, but we know that we at least have one person, and that's me in the alumni department, I think it makes a huge difference.
It's so true, bro. I realize, the power that you bring forward, and it's amazing, dude. You're such a love bug. I could definitely see myself just hanging out with you and chopping up, bro. You're so cool. You're so inviting, and so I really appreciate that. I'm sure that the clients love you for that. And the power of community is huge, bro. I remember, in my earlier day, I mean, even today, I still have a community around me, but in
For
those
sure.
earlier years, it's so important to have somebody that you can count on when shit hits the fan. that's what my sponsor used to always tell me. It's like, Ryan, when the shit hits the fan, that's when it matters the most. And so the fact that you're being that, the fact that you are a voice of support and love when people are hitting their bottoms, I think is so powerful. And we're honored to have you, bro. You're such a rock star.
Thank you, man.
Nothing but great things, bro. And who's your favorite football team?
The 49ers, baby.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. What
What
about you?
Story? So growing up, Grant Heath was his name. He was actually from San Fran. He was a 49ers fan. My dad wasn't really big into professional football, so I didn't really have anybody to like grow up watching football. But Grant was my best friend, so I adopted the 49ers. So Jerry Rice, Ricky Waters,
in their prime, dude. Yeah.
So then we had a neighbor, Ricky Lim and Brian Peebles. And so it was always Grant and myself versus Ricky and Brian Peebles. And we used to play two-hand touch in the street and tackle in the grass. And I was Jerry Rice and he was Joe Montana and Ricky was Troy Aikman and who was the wide receiver back then?
Why am I blanking? I wanted to say Marvin Harris, but that's not it. I know who you're talking about. 88.
I don't remember, but anyways, I used to play, and I was so much fun, dude. I used to love it. Like during like Thanksgiving, Christmas, we'd always like go out and play the game. So,
did you play any football back in the day?
No, I didn't. I was a baseball player.
Baseball guy.
Yeah, I mean, similar to you, dude. I played baseball, and then same to you, bro. Literally, very similar story. At 13, I was up to no good, and I was kind of like trying to manage both lives, and I got pissed at my dad, and I was pretty much like F you, and I quit, and that was it, man. And it's kind of crazy. That year I quit, they actually won the Little League World Series.
Oh wow, damn.
Yeah. I was the starting second baseman, but whatever.
Did you play with some dudes? Did they make it to the league?
So one of my best friends I grew up with, Justin Thompson, his uncle was Robbie Thompson, actually San Francisco Giants, second baseman, Gold Glove. So he had the skill and the talent to go, but similar to us, drinking, partying. He had a full ride, lost his scholarship, got in trouble, but he was a savage, and it was always him and I. We were always like neck and neck in the Little League, and so who knows what would have happened. I mean, I was pretty talented. I was really good at.
I'll tell you, addiction loves nothing more than potential and talent, man. It friggin' eats out. It thrives on those things,
It's so true, bro. It's so true. Well, Tanner Conroy, this was amazing, bro. I'm so honored to share this time with you. You're such a rock star, bro. This is why I do this. And thank you so much for pouring your heart out and being such a stable pillar to our company and to the community of recovery. And bro, congratulations on 3 years, dog.
Thank you, brother.
Incredible, bro.
And real quick, I just wanted to tell a little bit about kind of what sobriety, if it's okay, what sobriety has brought in me, man. I have a beautiful 8-month-old daughter that has come into my life, man. And I just got married this last Friday.
Congratulations,
met
bro.
the love of my life, and and just bought a house, man. I'm a homeowner over here.
Come on, man.
The promises do come true.
Thank you for doing the mic drop at the end, bro. Come on, man. You got a baby, a wife, a house. Come on, dude. How's your relationship with your dad?
Amazing, man. My dad's my biggest cheerleader, especially in sobriety. The 14th of every month, he always shoots me a text. Even if I forget, he always texts me every morning on the 14th of every month saying like happy X amount of months, sober. And they've been amazing throughout this whole process, man.
That's so awesome, brother. Well, thank you again, dude, for taking your time and sharing your story, man. It's such a blessing, bro. And keep crushing it, dude. I'm definitely going to keep checking in with you. I'm going to get your number from my team so we can text.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely, man. Well, I appreciate you having me on, man. I really appreciate the messages that you always share in your speeches and everything like that. I don't know if you remember, I went to actually one of the BD events last year. And we kind of you challenged me there, man, and it's stuck with me ever since.
Look at you, bro. You're crushing it.
Well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you,
brother. God bless. Have a great day.
God bless. Take care.